Hi everyone, and welcome to week 3 of Qigong Foundation practices. So this week we're going to be moving on to working on a set of exercises for the 12 organ meridians in the body. But before that, there were a couple of questions that came in during the week that will require a little bit of demonstration from me. So I'll do that now. So the first of those questions, I think it was about the exercise developing skill with the breathing muscles and about whether you should be breathing during that. I think that is what it was about, so that's what my answer is going to be about. If that wasn't what you were referring to in your question, of course feel free to ask again so that I can answer what you're actually asking about, but I think this is what it's about. Now this is an interesting exercise because we aren't actually breathing during this exercise. The primary role of the diaphragm muscle, which sits under the ribs, is for breathing. As it contracts and pulls down, it creates space, creates a vacuum which draws air down into the lungs, and then as it relaxes back up, the air comes back out from the lungs and from the ribs. At the same time as we pull down, the belly expands, particularly the deep muscles, the transversus abdominis expands to allow space for the air, and as we breathe out, it pulls back in to push back up. Now, for a lot of people, they don't have very good coordination between these two muscles, between the diaphragm muscle and then between the transversus abdominis muscle. So they're not very coordinated, and they also may not be very strong or very flexible. And so this exercise is to make them stronger, more flexible, and more coordinated so that they can move more freely, and a result of this is you breathe more deeply, more easily. Now, because their primary role is in breathing and creating space for the breath, it's actually difficult to do this while breathing because we get mixed up between what we're doing of strengthening and lengthening the muscle or simply accomplishing their function of breathing. So we actually hold our breath while we do this, and this lets us really focus on getting that muscle moving without breathing at the same time, which would be taking in and out far too much air than we could possibly handle and would cause us to hyperventilate and all this sort of thing. So this is what we do. We breathe in, belly expands, breathe out, belly comes back in. Hold your belly in, breathe in, ribs expand, this gets us ready. Now you hold your breath. As you let your tummy in and out, and then breathe out. So while the tummy is going out and in, your breath is held. So it's just moving the muscles, and as part of that, the expansion moves up and down in your body. It stretches and loosens things, and it helps to develop the coordination and the flexibility and strength of those muscles. So that then when you actually use it for breathing, just breathing in and out, you can breathe more deeply, more freely. Okay, so the other question was about adapting some of the warm-ups, the joint rotations and the cool-downs, the energy massage to a sitting position. And it's really helpful to be able to adapt the different exercises to a sitting position, because for some people that's what they're going to need to do, whether it is because they're weak and they've lost coordination through sickness or old age, or they've had some sort of injury that means they need to sit down, and so on. For a lot of it, it's really just a matter of making common sense adjustments to do things in a way that someone can do it that way. And I will actually include a link to another video in the email this week, which actually shows some adaptations for sitting for all of the exercises that we're going to be focusing on this coming week. But specifically for the joint rotations and the energy massage, well, most of the upper body ones, the wrists, the elbows, the shoulders, you can do sitting no problem. The ones in the lower legs, that's where it becomes more challenging, but not so hard to adapt. I'll move back a little bit, maybe you'll see me a bit better. Here we go. So for example, for the ankles, well, you can still do this. Come up onto the ball of your foot, rotate your ankle. For your knee, you can still make circles with your knee. They won't feel as much pressure as they do this, but that's okay. There's probably good reason why sitting, but it's still going to loosen and bring energy and awareness to the knee. You can do this on both sides. Even for the hip, now this depends if they have enough strength for this, they can lift the whole leg and circle in and out. Or they can even use their arm to help do this as well. Now if they can't do all of those different movements, that's okay. They can do the ones that they can do. They might not be able to do this one, but they might still be able to circle the ankle and circle the knee, and maybe skip that one out if they're not able to. Similarly for the energy massage, you can do this pretty much as easily sitting down as you can standing up. The one thing that you need to do is, if at all possible, try not to be sitting so that you're leaning back on something, because that's going to make it really hard to massage some parts of your body. Try to be sitting forward so there's a bit of space behind you, and that's going to make it easier. So again, in terms of the energy massage, well, you can come here, massage your kidneys, then you can pat. Okay, you might not get right up underneath yourself, but you can pat down the outside of the legs, up the inside of the legs, and so on, and you can reach most of your body quite easily doing that. Okay, so hopefully that's useful to you. As I mentioned, I will send a link which shows some adaptations for the other exercise that we're just going to be starting working on this week. Now this week our focus is going to be really simple. We're simply going to be following along with the exercises, becoming familiar with them, becoming comfortable with them. And we're going to go through a process over the next several weeks. First, just becoming familiar with them, doing them with the video, then working on memorizing them so you can do them without the video, and then looking at details of the exercises. It's much easier to focus on those details once you can do them without following along, without needing to use a video to do that, because that then lets your awareness and attention be on yourself rather than out looking at the screen to guide you. Okay, so as usual, I hope you enjoy your practice this week, and I look forward to hearing from you at the end of the week with your progress reports and any questions you may have.